I represent the good and resilient people of Adamawa Northern Central District. Mr. President, my highly revered and most distinguished colleagues, permit me to lead the debate on this very important bill, which seeks to establish the Nigerian Police Pension Board to be called Police Pension Board and other related matters. The bill, Mr. President, was first read in this hallowed chamber on the 14th of June 2022. The Nigerian Police Force is the principal law enforcement and lead security agency in Nigeria, designated by the 1999 Constitution as the National Police of Nigeria. The Nigerian Police Force has jurisdiction throughout the country. Mr. President, a pension is a fund into which a sum of money is added during an employee's employment years, and from which payments are drawn to support the person's retirement from work in the sum of periodic payments. The current pension arrangement of the Nigerian Police is under the Pension Commission, that is by the virtue of Section 5(1) of the Pension Reform Act of 2014 as amended. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I wish to clearly state that the Nigerian Police, even though is the principal and premier law enforcement and security agency in Nigeria, the Nigerian Police Force is left under the contributory pension scheme managed by PENCOM. Unlike her counterpart in the Army, in the Navy, in the Air Force, in the Department of Security Services, DSS, Defense Intelligence Agency, DIA, and National Intelligence Agency, NIA, who have since been exercised out of PENCOM to establish their own various pension boards. The resultant inclusion and continuous stay of the Nigerian Police Force in PENCOM has placed them on the wrong end of the post-service emolument years, even though the Nigerian Police is saddled with the responsibility of not only protecting lives and properties of citizenry, but also detecting crimes, preventing crimes, investigating crimes, and prosecuting offenses. A cursory look, Mr. President, at the difference between the pension and gratuity benefits of the Nigerian police and her counterparts in the military shows, for example, the benefits of Deputy Superintendent of Police, DSP, under the current pension scheme is 2.5 million naira, and that of the Assistant Superintendent of Police, ASP, is 1.5 million. While the equivalent, Mr. President, of the DSP in the Army, in the Navy, in the Air Force, in the DSS are paid 12.8 million and 10.3 million respectively. Mr. President, what this shows is that while the Deputy Superintendent of Police take home a meager 2.5 million naira, his counterparts in the military and other security agencies take 12.8 million. A gap of over 10.3 million naira on the same people serving on the same rank. This means, Your Excellency, the President of the Senate, and my most distinguished colleagues, the Nigerian Police Force is receiving an equivalent of 19% of what their counterparts in other security or sister agencies are receiving. The broad objective of this bill, therefore, Mr. President, is to bring equality, equity, and justice in the payment of pensions between the police and our sister agencies, while boosting the morale of those still serving in the police force. Mr. President, in line with Order 76, Cap 3 of the Senate Standing Order 2022 as amended. The financial implications of the bill is hereby attached. Mr. President, this will cover land acquisition, construction of a befitting police pension for office, purchase of equipment, software development for the Police Pension Board. Therefore, Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, it is my earnest prayer and ardent call that you consider the plight of the Nigerian police who are desirous of living a quality life after serving our country after putting up so many years. Thank you, Mr. President. I expect a favorable debate. Thank you, sir. Thank you, my colleagues.
I rise to make some comments regarding the proposed move to move the police pension from the contributory pension scheme they are under now to a non-contributory scheme as obtained in the armed forces. And to say, Mr. President, I don't understand because we have been over the years been transitioning from a non-contributory pension scheme, which is largely deemed to be unsustainable, to a contributory pension scheme that is more transparent, more better managed, and for those who have been moved to a contributory pension scheme, and for most states that have been practicing a contributory pension scheme, it's actually a sustainable and generally acceptable method of running pensions. Part of the problems we have had with pensions, especially in the public sector, that is riddled with fraud and people not receiving their pensions and gratuities in time, because the burden is borne by the employer, in which case the federal government. And the fact that with the arrival of PENCOM and all the attendant agencies and private pension managers that have arisen over the years, Mr. President, I believe that global best practice is actually to transit to a contributory pension scheme. I would have been looking forward to a situation where the rest of the agencies that are yet to move to contributory, are transited to this contributory pension scheme. It's okay to ask for an equity in payment between a policeman earning 2.5 million and a soldier earning 12.5 million. The question is, who is bearing the burden of that 12.5 million? And is it sustainable in the long term? So I think, my President, maybe I require some more explanation as to how moving the police out of the contributory pension scheme that is now the norm in Nigeria to retrogress back to non-contributory, which is largely deemed to be simply unsustainable, because the burden that the government is paying simply grows to a point where it can no longer pay. So you have backlogs for several years. You have soldiers lining up in Eagle Square doing demonstrations and so on and so forth. Whereas a situation where you have a contributory pension scheme under the new dispensation that we have seen over the last 10 years is actually clear, transparent, sustainable, and a situation where you even have the choice to move your pension management from one private pension manager to another. So, Mr. President, I'd really like a more in-depth explanation of how because for me, it looks like we are moving away from global best practice in pension management to a non-contributory situation that has put us in trouble in the past. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Mr. President, you are a good man. Sandy Ono, Cross River Central. Mr. President, let me support Cliff, my colleague, for this very beautiful motion. Mr. President, I'm a member of the police committee, and I've had cause to sit in meetings where pensioners from the police establishment have bemoaned their plight. The way your police operates is a function of how you treat the police. Most of the time, we take the police for granted. More often than not, they are the ones whose lives are placed at risk even more than sister services. They work for us day in, day out, night and day. These men are not given the kind of dignity and the kind of respect and the kind of welfare that they deserve. That is the truth, that is the reality. Mr. President, this case of pensions is very discriminatory and is unacceptable. If PENCOM exists and all services need to be domiciled in it, let it be so. But a situation where the police is discriminated upon, domiciled within PENCOM, and then other services have special pension schemes, is not doing the police any good. Our police must understand that we care for them, and we care about what happens to them after they leave service. I joined Senator Cliff in making the point that we must re-engineer this process to give the police the confidence that they deserve. Nigerians need to do so for the police because they are very key to our survival as a nation.
Now to establish the police pension boards to handle pension matters for personnel of the force and for connected purposes 2022, second reading.
A bill for an act to establish the police pension board to handle pension matters for personnel of the force and for connected purposes 2022, second reading taken. And the bill is referred to the Committee on Police Affairs for further legislative action to report back within 4 weeks. Leader of the Senate.